So, have you ever actually stopped to wonder if there's any place on this entire planet completely and utterly devoid of life? It's kind of a wild thought experiment. You might think of the absolute most extreme, isolated places you can imagine. But if you look closely, life has a funny habit of showing up. I mean, you can check the darkest, dustiest cupboards in your own house and find a tiny spider making a living. Scientists have literally looked into the scorching, toxic openings of blazing volcanoes and discovered tiny living organisms thriving right there in the extreme heat. It seems that no matter where we look, life absolutely finds a way. Honestly, from a lush, quiet backyard farm all the way up to the highest freezing peaks of the Himalayas with their towering oaks and pines, life just thrives everywhere. Or consider the hot, dry sands of Rajasthan dotted with cacti, compared to the humid, salty sea beaches of Puri lined with casuarina trees. Life is everywhere. But while life is everywhere, the organisms themselves look drastically different depending on where you travel. The creatures and plants surviving in one environment would look completely alien in another. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going on an incredible globe-trotting expedition to uncover exactly how diverse organisms manage to survive Earth's absolute most extreme environments. We're going to dive deep into the ingenious biological engineering that allows life not just to scrape by, but to completely conquer every corner of the globe. Let's take a quick look at our itinerary for today. First, we'll establish the basic rules of survival. Then we'll tour the harsh desert, explore high mountain adaptations, venture into the grasslands to look at predators and prey, and finally, dive into life in the ocean. Section 1. The rules of survival, defining our world. Okay, let's jump right into this by setting up the foundational concepts that dictate how living things actually survive. Everything starts with a habitat. A habitat is, simply put, an organism's home. It's the specific environment that provides all the vital necessities for it to live. Food, water, air, and shelter. Several kinds of plants and animals usually share the exact same habitat. We broadly divide these into terrestrial habitats, meaning life on land, like forests and deserts, and aquatic habitats, like lakes, rivers, and oceans. Now, to actually survive in that specific home, organisms rely on adaptation. Adaptation refers to the brilliant, specific physical features or habits that allow an animal or plant to conquer its habitat. Because the non-living elements of an environment change very slowly, adaptations don't just happen overnight. They are permanent structural changes that take thousands of years to develop. Those that don't adapt to their habitat, well, they simply don't survive. So here's a really crucial distinction we need to make. We have to separate this long-term adaptation from something called acclimatization. Acclimatization is just a short-term, temporary adjustment to overcome a minor problem. For instance, if you live down on the plains and suddenly travel to a high mountain region, you might find it pretty hard to breathe for a few days, right? Your body will acclimatize by making you breathe faster to get more oxygen. But over a few days, your body adjusts. That temporary change is acclimatization, which is entirely different from a permanent evolutionary adaptation that takes millennia. Think of every single habitat as this incredibly delicate interactive puzzle made of two main pieces. First, you have the biotic components. These are the living things, the plants and animals sharing the space. Second, you have the abiotic components. These are the non-living factors like rocks, soil, air, water, sunlight, and heat. The entire game of adaptation is basically the biotic components trying to figure out how to survive the brutal challenges thrown at them by the abiotic components. A camel and a fish are perfectly, masterfully engineered for their own specific habitats. But imagine if you swapped them. There's just no way. They would perish instantly. The camel obviously cannot breathe saline water, and the fish cannot survive the dry, scorching sand. Adaptation is hyper-specific to the abiotic factors of a singular dwelling place. Section 2. Surviving the harsh desert. Beating the heat. Let's look at how life actually builds solutions for the brutal abiotic factors of the desert. Scorching heat during the day, freezing cold at night, and almost zero available water. The camel is basically a masterclass in adaptation. Just look at its structure. It has unusually long legs, which serve a very specific purpose, to keep its main body elevated and far away from the intense burning heat radiating right off the desert sand. Furthermore, the camel's internal biology is completely optimized for water conservation. It excretes a very small amount of urine, its dung is entirely dry, and get this, it does not sweat at all. By completely shutting down water loss through its bodily functions, a camel can live for many days without drinking a single drop. But, what if you're a desert creature that doesn't have long legs to stay above that burning sand? Well, smaller animals like desert rats and snakes solve the heat problem in a completely different way. They escape the abiotic extremes by digging deep down. They shelter in cool, deep burrows in the sand during the blistering heat of the day, and they only emerge to hunt and forage at night when the temperatures finally drop. And it's not just the animals. Desert plants have it just as tough, if not tougher, because, well, they can't exactly run away or dig a burrow. Notice how they completely toss out the standard tree blueprint to hoard whatever tiny bit of moisture they can find. See, most normal plants lose a ton of water through their leaves in a process called transpiration. So to stop this, desert plants like the cactus have either very small leaves or no leaves at all. Instead, their leaves have evolved into sharp spines. That green, leaf-like structure you see on a cactus, that's actually its stem. The stem has entirely taken over the job of photosynthesis, and it's coated in a thick, waxy layer to lock moisture inside the plant's tissues. Finally, to find water, their roots don't spread out on the surface. They plunge incredibly deep into the earth to absorb any hidden moisture. Section 3. High Mountain Adaptations, Conquering the Cold. All right, we're leaving the scorching desert behind and hiking way up into the freezing, windy peaks of the mountain regions. Up here, the hostile abiotic challenges are biting cold, high winds, and heavy snow. Take a look at the trees that naturally grow in these altitudes. They are deliberately shaped like cones with sloping branches. Plus, their leaves aren't broad and flat. They're thin and needle-like. Why? Because in a habitat where heavy snowfall is a regular, massive abiotic factor, a normal tree would literally snap under the weight. The trees up here act like natural umbrellas, allowing heavy, damaging snow and rainwater to simply slide right off their sloping, needle-covered branches without breaking them. As for the animals up here, they survive using heavy biological armor. The cold is just relentless, so yaks grow massive, shaggy coats of long hair to trap heat. The snow leopard takes it a step further. It has thick fur not just on its body but wrapping its feet and toes, acting like built-in insulated snowshoes to protect it while walking on freezing ice. And the mountain goat sports incredibly strong, heavy-duty hooves designed specifically for running up steep, treacherous, rocky slopes. Every single feature is a calculated response to the environment. Section 4. Grasslands, Predators and Prey. Let's travel back down from the snowy peaks and head into the forests and grasslands. Down here, the ultimate daily problem isn't just surviving the weather, it's surviving each other. This habitat is defined by a fierce evolutionary arms race between predators and their prey. The very physical bodies of the lion and the deer are molded entirely by their specific biological imperatives: the absolute need to hunt or the absolute need to hide and escape. Take the lion, the ultimate grassland predator. It's perfectly adapted with a light brown color to camouflage seamlessly into the dry grass. It has long claws hidden inside its toes that it can withdraw or extend. But crucially, its eyes are positioned squarely in the front of its face, giving it incredible precision depth perception to pinpoint the exact location of its prey. The deer, on the other hand, is built purely for evasion. It has strong teeth for chewing hard plant stems, sure, but its main defense is its senses. It has long ears to detect the faintest sound of an approaching predator, and instead of eyes in the front, the deer's eyes are on the sides of its head, creating a 360-degree early warning system that lets it look in all directions for danger while grazing. And of course, it has the sheer speed to bolt the moment danger is spotted. Section 5. Life in the Ocean, the Underwater World. Finally, we plunge into the oceans. This is the ultimate aquatic habitat, where the defining abiotic factor is literally a world completely submerged in dense, saline water. The standard ocean survival kit is pretty elegant. To deal with the dense water, most fish have evolved a streamlined shape, allowing them to cut right through the water with minimal resistance. Their bodies are covered in slippery scales that offer protection and further reduce drag. And to solve the problem of breathing underwater, they're equipped with gills, which act like filters to extract the oxygen dissolved directly in the water. Even creatures like squids and octopuses, which usually don't have a streamlined shape while they're just resting on the ocean floor, will actively flatten and streamline their bodies when they need to dart quickly through the water to catch prey. But what's really fascinating is that there are spectacular exceptions. Marine giants like whales and dolphins are mammals, and they actually lack gills entirely. Instead, they rely on a totally different adaptation, nostrils or blowholes located on the very top of their heads. This allows them to stay submerged for long periods, but they absolutely must routinely swim near the surface to breathe in atmospheric air. It's a massive behavioral and structural adaptation to thriving in the ocean without giving up lungs. So from the thick, waxy stems of a desert cactus to the beautifully streamlined shape of an ocean fish, life is constantly, beautifully reacting to the world around it. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to take a moment and look around your own neighborhood. Whether you live in a bustling city, a quiet suburb, or way out in the country, how do the abiotic factors like sunlight, the local soil, and the seasonal weather shape the incredible life you see outside your window every single day? Keep exploring, keep observing, and keep learning.